right, being it's 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a friendly reminder for everybody out in the public, make sure you sign in on the back with your name and address, or at least the same, whatever, yeah. So we know who's here. Appreciate that very much. For council approval agenda, I got an item I'd like to add. Under L2, under attorney, I'd like to close session to discuss new Nori litigation pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D. Sir, any other items anybody would like to add? Take a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Consent agenda. Any item on there would you like to discuss?
I did see that one revision to the changed dates for the summer council meetings. We're setting them right now. Paul had one change, so it'd be August 19th instead of the 12th. Obviously, if anybody else has something they know about here in the near future, just let us know and we can still revise that again. I think the only other thing would be the designation for the newspaper. We'll pull that item tonight and have a little bit of discussion on it later on in the meeting, so.
Thank you. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes.
Make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sheldon. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Up next, we got visitors to the council. We have Derek Davidson. Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Thanks for allowing me to speak. I'm Derek Davidson, 16 2nd Street, Northwest in Casson here. This is regarding a fatal dog attack that occurred on October 17th, 202 4th Avenue Northeast. I'm requesting that the attacking dog be correctly classified as a dangerous dog underneath the Minnesota statute, 34750, rather than a potentially dangerous dog, and the statute be followed as written. On the 17th, my dog was attacked by another dog that forced itself underneath a fence while he was playing it with my friend's dog on his property. My dog and the other dog were playing in the driveway and were not on the neighbor's property or provoking the other dog to attack. I physically had to fight this dog off to release the grip of my dog. The injuries were catastrophic. Despite the emergency vet care, we had to euthanize my dog to end its suffering. The police report states that the dog was provoked in the attack, and I disagree with that. A 30-pound dog does not provoke a 90-pound dog to push itself underneath the fence and viciously attack them. That kind of behavior demonstrates loss of control and clear threat to the community's safety. Under the statute, the dog that caused the death of a domestic animal without provocation and off its own property meets the definition of a dangerous dog. Classifying this dog as potentially dangerous does not reflect the facts or the risk to the public safety of our community. I'm also requesting some potential criminal charges, since the owner did state that there was prior incidents in the last town that they live in with this dog, as well as some restitution to the documented veterinary costs and related costs I had incurred during this direct attack. I'd also like to state that the homeowners of the dog refused to give the officer or I any of their information for their homeowner's insurance. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm just asking that the law be applied correctly and consistent to protect others in our community from experiencing the same traumatic loss that my children and I had to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take your information on advisement, we will talk to the chief of police, and we'll have him get back to you. Thank you. Up next, Brett with the CAM Youth Fishing regarding gambling ordinance.
Hi, my name's Brett Keith, 13 4th Street, Northeast Casson. I just have a couple things I would like to bring to your attention. So with this new ordinance, if it had started this month, these are the forms that we should have used. Who do we hand them into at the city? So I just want to point out that the page on top is the fee that the city will be taking. It says 3% of the gross and 10% of the net profit. But if you look on the one page, so our net profit for the month was $2,582.59. The payment to the city would be $776.14. That comes out to 30% of our net profit. That's leaving us with $1,800.45 for our mission. I ask if there's any kind of reconsideration the city could do to not take so much from our charity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
All right. All right, up next, Mayor's report. I just got a couple items. I'd like to appoint John Hanson to Planning Commission and Sam Munson to the Library Board. If we can get a motion and a second to approve.
Make the motion to approve John Hanson for planning and zoning and Sam Munson for library board.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. That's all I had. Up next, old business.
All right. On this packet here, we do have some information Linda's put in there regarding the gambling ordinance. I think that was more to do with the service territory contributions, wasn't it, Linda?
When I talked to Brett, it was more about the service territory, about not being just in Casson, about being able to give to organizations outside of Casson. I think you were talking about like the Dorothy Day House or the Ronald McDonald or the...
Women's Shelter, Cancer Telethon, St. Jude's.
Yeah.
So basically what I think, so your earlier comments aside, what we were talking about is with the changes that were implemented last year, we think that'd be okay and prudent to allow it to be opened up to those additional contributions. You know, the issue we had previously was we weren't necessarily receiving the documentation. Previously we said, okay, we need 100% to be given to, you know, to the KM service area. And some of the different organizations had said, oh, that's difficult, you know, we want to give it to other groups, which I understand. So the changes that were implemented last year were in response to that partly, which was, okay, well, we're going to allow you to give to other groups outside of the KM service territory. However, you know, these numbers he's citing here, you know, we're going to be, that percentage that's kept. Now, the 1% is the gross. I think we can discuss that, and we can probably reduce that. We set it at the statutory number, which is 3%. You know, we didn't know how much revenue is going to come in off of that, because we don't know what their take is, because we haven't been getting the reports from a lot of these groups as well as we should have been. So that's something I think we will be able to reduce down. The other number is what's being reserved for the youth. So basically we're saying, okay, well, you can contribute to other organizations. That percentage that we're reserving doesn't go to the city, it goes to a separate pool, the state tracks, and it can only be used for specific things. For example, buying park equipment, contributions to the city's festival, things like that. It's not going into the general fund or anything like that. So, to the earlier point, I mean, I think we could look at changing that to allow for them to contribute to outside areas. And I do think we also looked at possibly reducing it down to just 1% of the gross. It's based on how much, you know, not knowing what their numbers are, because we just haven't seen that information over the last couple of years. So those, I think, were the recommendations that Linda and I had discussed.
Do we know how many gambling organizations are in Casson,
How many did you send out? 4?
and we've received information from 2, or have we received from all 4?
No, this is the first thing I've
First.
gotten, is Brett.
Okay.
The KMU Fishing called me, or, no, the Dodge County Hockey called me this morning to, talk about their paperwork. And I know the fire department I've talked to them and, at the relief meeting, and they've been getting their monthly reports.
I would like to see how much we get from all 4.
Sure.
Before we make a decision, but I agree, we definitely want to look at it and see if we can make it.
Are we gonna be getting monthly reports like that from each one of them then, or is that just a yearly report?
No, it'd be monthly reports.
Okay, because that will give us good data. I mean, that was part of the goal, was like, just having not seen any of that data, you haven't seen it, I haven't seen it, we had no idea what it would really be contributing. I know that, we've seen some of the fire department numbers now, from their one location, they've had more than I would have expected. I don't know if it meets their guidelines or goals, but I mean, I think they're happy with how it's gone so far. And I mean, obviously, you know, we want to work with the service clubs around here to try and make sure that we have a good equitable number, so.
But I do agree, there's room for improvement.
So what I can do is, you know, once we get all those reports, we'll bring those back to you, you can see what the data is, and then you can kind of make a decision from there. And thank you for bringing this one in, appreciate it.
Once we get some more data, we'll reach out to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll have it by the end of the month, and then we can bring it to one of the meetings in February and hopefully make some changes to revise the policy.
And if we would change it to less, would we, I'll
I think
backdate it?
we could
Reimburse.
rebate those percentages back to what we would change it to. I have no problem with that.
Okay,
so.
I just want to make sure, you know, because I don't want to charge now and then end up changing out, you
Well, I mean,
know.
And nobody's paid yet.
Right, so we could we put a hold on the first month and get the numbers and then look at our change and then have them submit it?
Yeah. I
Then
mean,
we won't have them pay us, we pay back? Yes,
I believe it's not due till the end of the month, so if you guys decided something at your next meeting, it would still be time before anybody had to get their stuff in.
Okay, well, that'll be our goal then, is hopefully we'll get those reports in. As I said, I think part of the problem was we wanted to have that transparency and we wanted to get those reports. I know there are a lot of good charities that people give to, whether it's in the KM area or not, so I mean, I think we're certainly cognizant of that.
thank you, everybody. Excuse me. Next, we got Oscar Meadows' second final plat. And final plat resolution.
I don't know, I mean, you've got the information in your packet, it's something we've talked about in the past. The Oscar Meadows second plat, I mean, the first one was approved last year, was built, and you can see the houses going up there. This would include an extension of 16th Street to the west, and you'll note on that it ends about a block early, because it's not gonna be extended into that wetland area. So that is something that I know Brandon and I have talked about at a staff level, and something we'll have to make sure that we're looking at. Eventually, I would imagine that 16th Street will be a state aid road completely. We are designating that right now, the section between Quick Trip and the dump road, and so we would anticipate that those dollars might be available to complete that extension out, if further development along that, and when further development along that occurs. I don't know, Brandon, if you have any comments?
I think that's it. There's a review letter provided within the council packet, and then there's a resolution that conditionally approves it. So the developer's here, as long as they don't have any issues, I think we should be good from their perspective. So looks like he's good, so don't have anything else to really add.
Yeah, I mean, Tony is here if you have any questions, so.
Yeah, we got no questions, I would take a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution, what, X 26? 1X26?
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Old business, the fire truck recommendation.
And we've got the chief and our assistant chief here too. Just want to preface it, so earlier, I think it was maybe in September, we had some conversations about this, and we were looking at maybe a different item. I think they kind of went back, I had some good discussions with Joe, and come back and they asked for some feedback from us, we gave it to them. I know that the CIP committee met with them at length and talked about it as well, reviewed it, and had some more feedback for them. Including your package, you do have a nice side-by-side breakdown. There was a lot of information to go through, so we asked them, and I appreciate them doing it, is kind of giving us a little bit better side-by-side comparison. So what they're looking at is purchasing a mini pumper, which will work in tandem with a tanker truck to provide the fire suppression ability. We think it's a good choice, and I'll let the chief and assistant chief discuss it in more detail.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. We've, obviously, you guys have seen our truck schedule and all of that kind of stuff. After kind of going through some of the tanker discussions, and some of the discussion that we had with Tim, we kind of went back to the drawing board with our truck committee, decided to kind of pivot on the tanker discussion to this mini pumper, which would replace our rescue truck, ultimately giving us another first-line truck that would have water and pump capabilities, would carry all of our extrication equipment. As you can see, part of the recommendation was for some extrication equipment as well. And what that will do is that should hopefully allow us to not necessarily kick the can down the road, but kick the can down the road to help the city plan with a little bit longer out for replacing that engine too, and then moving forward with the CIP committee and the townships on ultimately the direction that we want to go with the tankers. I know right now and currently there's been some discussions in regards to dropping one of the tankers and just going with one versus two, and so we're doing more research and having more discussions in regards to that. But so that's one of the reasons why we decided to kind of table that tanker discussion for now and kind of move on. We think this is a good fit for the city. If you look at what we're able to get for a truck from a pumping capacity, it's the exact same as what we have in our engines and our ladder truck today. Basically just a smaller, more mobile truck. Maintenance on this truck will be a lot more efficient than obviously maintenance on the big trucks. So, and we get it at a lot less. So it's a lot more cost effective. So, I guess questions are on the truck specifically, or any of the other stuff that.
And I noticed that it was sitting in the parking lot.
And it is out there, so.
The truck, that's not.
That is the truck.
That's the truck.
Yep.
Which is one of the benefits when we were going through this in the CIP levels, that truck was available too, versus waiting 9 months to a year. Excuse me. But I do really appreciate the work you put in making this comparison sheet. It made it a lot easier to follow.
Yeah, I think just the one truck was like 60 or 70 pages of breakdown, so.
Yeah.
Truck spec is about that thick. full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the credit for that, CJ put that
No.
together, so.
It was one thing we had requested, and I really appreciate it. That's.
You don't expect any other, charges or any other change orders on this? What we see is what we get, we don't have to add anything to it?
Yeah, we shouldn't. We've got, we added in we're pretty positive the 20,000 for the small tools to get it outfitted, and with the small tools, and then get them all mounted and assembled and ready to go, so.
That 20,000 is on the 378, or it's not?
No, the 378 is for the truck, so, if you look on that second page, I kinda total everything up for you.
Okay.
So it's the 20,000 for the small tools and equipment. If you're open to approving that extrication equipment was 60,000. And then the truck, I just rounded up for the 380, so gets us to that total 460.
Based on the mayor's feedback, I think we're going to hold off a little while on the extrication equipment we'd like to see some of that
Yep.
information you were gonna provide, Joe.
Yep,
Not that, no one necessarily be approved, but just like to see
Yeah.
that first.
yep.
But, I know the recommendation from the CIP committee was to approve the truck and then the small tools to outfit it, moving forward. And we did, Sarah and I worked to put money aside for this, so there is money that's been budgeted previously, so it won't require any tax increases in '26.
And our goal is to sell the,
That would be the hope. We would, obviously get all the, tools and equipment would come off of that truck.
yeah,
Those would be redistributed into, this truck and the rest into the engine that we just got in, 23, yeah, a couple of years ago. And then everything else would come out of the rest of outfitting that truck would come out of that tools and equipment budget.
Does anybody got any questions for the chief or deputy chief? No? So,
That apples to apples comparison really does make a difference, as opposed to, just trying to guess, 'cause
Yeah, and like I was telling the mayor and the administrator earlier, before everybody was here, if we took the decals off the truck and had all four of those trucks sitting there, they're literally all pretty much exactly the same, so.
but in terms of the build-out and the
Yeah.
things that come with it versus the things that don't, that's extremely helpful with this, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the truck committee spent a lot of time and effort and a couple of trips down to look at these trucks to make sure they got added what they wanted added, so.
because when it came into the CIP level, we must have had about 9, 10 emails with different information, and we were trying to read through it, and
It was a lot.
I got lost. I'll be honest. So, yeah.
So do you think one of the biggest differences in price between Fouts and Midwest is the fact that the Midwest is a year newer?
That is a good chunk of it.
Yeah,
If we
so-
were to buy a Pulse right now, just like this one, do everything exactly the same, it'd be that $420,000 price range. We're getting it for that much less because it is a year old. It's got about 2,500 extra miles on it because my company used it as a demonstrator to show people and everything else. That is why we're getting the price that we're getting for that truck.
But it comes with a brand-new warranty,
Yeah, the warranty
Yeah, the
starts
warranty
the day
starts when we sign the
paperwork.
papers.
and we've done that on the
We
previous...
did it on the ladder truck
truck
as well,
too,
yeah.
But more to the point, we know who's had it beforehand, so we know how
Yes.
it's been
Yeah.
handled, which
Yes.
is kind of nice when you're buying a
Yes.
not so new, not as
It's-
new.
Well, it's brand new, other than...
Yeah, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. We know it hasn't been ridden hard and put up wet, so to
Right.
speak, as a demo. In horse language, thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah,
Sorry.
oh, no, you're perfectly fine. So with that, I guess I would look for a motion to purchase the Fouts mini pumper with the small tool allocation.
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of the Fouts mini bumper.
A motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
With that as well, can we look to start getting bids on that? We can put it out through,
To sell the rescue truck?
Oh, sure, yeah,
through Brinley Mountain.
It's kinda what we discussed was
Yes.
Yeah.
moving forward.
Like we talked in the-
Yep.
I'd like to sell that and...
I mean, obviously, we'll get,
We should
Bid-
sit down
bids
and
on it,
figure
it would
out
come-
The minimum price you want, or how, I can get some
We
preliminary
can-
information.
Why don't you reach out to me and we'll
Yeah.
set up a time to discuss it a little bit more, but that sounds
Okay.
good, I think, yep.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, old business, council salary survey.
So this was information that was provided in December. I know we had a couple folks that were not able to make it, so the mayor wanted it brought back up again. Looking for some guidance on you. There's a couple documents in there. You've got, the league's guidance on, council members as well as, and regionally speaking, we tried to stay in the southeast Minnesota range, as well as mayors, and then included in there also in Dropbox is a resolution. The last time actually council salaries changed was in 2014, was the last time that there was an increase proposed at that level. So I'll let you take it away, Dan. It's your issue.
So, if you look through there, you can look under the council. If you look like Byron and Stewartville, they're the two comparables near us. Byron is paying their city council $4,000. Stewartville's paying $4,000. And if you go to the mayor's, it's like $5,000 and $6,000. Part of it was, I was looking at it, it's been 11 years. It's, you get a lot of work, everybody realizes that. And, part of it, when you look at the comparables, Casson actually has its own electric utility, so there's a little more, as you've seen, we went through and looked at batteries, solar, we're looking at substations, so there's more work. I just was bringing it up as, see if we can match our neighboring cities, looking for input.
Couple of things. One, just for the public's awareness, our payments come out of the liquor store funds.
Well, let me correct you on that, I was wrong on that, partially. Part of it does, $20,000 comes out of the liquor store.
Okay.
That's an ordinance that we had passed, so I was wrong,
Okay.
I wanted to be correct on that.
All right, thank you.
But a chunk, currently about 50% is
And any changes we make wouldn't start until next year,
After the election.
after the next election. So it wouldn't impact this current year, it would start next year after the election in January 2027.
I think you've mentioned it before, you felt like it might be a tool to get more people to apply, because you felt like sometimes that there's a struggle, because obviously it does take time. You take time out of your schedules, and, it is a commitment to do extra research and work on different things, and you all serve on committees too, and you get extra money for those meetings, but it still is an extra thing. I think that was one of your points as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, yeah, you get extra phone calls, emails, I'll probably talk to Tim, 3 times a week? Sometimes we'll sit down and sometimes it's more, depends on what's going on. Trying to keep.
Sometimes it's more.
Yes.
So it's more.
Anyway, no, it's a good back and forth.
But, yeah, there's always questions and, I'm a firm believer of asking lots of questions. As most of you probably know. So, but I like to make good decisions with the information, and if I don't ask, I don't know. So, but it's just something I'm asking, it's up to the council.
I think being comparable to Byron is a fair assessment. I think that would be something, if we were going to look at a change, Byron would be a good example to compare to.
Yeah, and then they actually, if you look there, they pay $40 for extra meetings, and ours are $35, and I don't know if that really is the kicker, but,
How many cities go just by inflation per year?
I don't know.
Typically, that's not something cities necessarily do, counties do more of that, although I think it might be, that might be something to think about, would be if you do make a change, you might decide to also add a certain COLA each year, kinda like we do for staff, and then you would say, well, we won't revise the salaries again. The COLAs will kick in, and they'll automatically go forward, and then, once again, as Dan noted, like, anytime a council would come in and say, hey, we don't wanna do that anymore, that's up to them. They can make a change, but I do think that, those COLAs, it means that, you do go with inflation as opposed to having to change salaries periodically.
So I'll just say that, I've always been of the opinion that elected officials should be volunteers. I don't like the idea that somebody's running for a position motivated by the salary. So I would not be for increasing the salary.
What do you think about doing a COLA?
I think that's a lot more reasonable. I mean, if we're gonna have one, then it would make sense to have it follow a inflation index like almost everything else does.
CPI or something like
Yep.
that, sure.
Any other input?
And all council members have that option to donate their salary back, correct?
Sure. Just like any elected official.
I know I'm not currently taking that, full disclosure. I didn't know if anyone else was on council. Is that allowed to be asked, or?
So. Anything, Mel, Sheldon?
I'm kind of ambivalent on it. I mean, I see Paul's perspective, however, the fact that, did any of us have opposition the last time we ran? I mean, I think I've run opposed twice
Okay.
now. The first time was opposed, but
Well, and part of that could be the money, another part could be people are fairly,
I mean, for whatever,
Pleased with how-
reason, but it would be nice to have a way to get more people involved, in governance. And I don't know how many people would say, boy howdy, I'm gonna run for office for that rather large and expensive salary that it pays.
well, and if you look at it, currently, mayor's 4,000 and...
Oh, I was being very facetious when I said
No,
that.
but I mean, if you look at it, if you figure roughly hours, people aren't,
No.
I would think they would run for, hopefully, to better the community.
Right. But I mean,
I just look at a lot of the time off from work and...
sure. Yeah.
We're not looking for a decision today, this is just a conversation,
Oh.
or do you wanna?
You know, it's up to the mayor, you know, if, I know some people are probably, we're at the meeting in December, so it's up to you, Dan, whether you wanna maybe bring it up at the next meeting for kind of a final resolution. And if there's any feedback, you know, certainly send that on to the mayor, to me, I can relate it.
Yeah,
Is that okay, Dan?
that's perfectly fine.
Would this be something that would go to a public hearing?
Not typically, no.
Okay, I didn't know, I don't know, I wasn't here in
It would just be
2014.
a
as a council
resolution
member.
for or against
Yeah.
ordinance, okay.
Okay.
So, and, you know, and if you look back, as Tim stated, the last one was 2014, the one before that was like 2004, I think. So it's
10-ish years.
10, 11 years. But, all right, thank you, everybody. Next, we have new business pay equity report.
This is a report we have to file with the state every 3 years. So this ended December 31st of 2025. It is a formula that you put all of the salaries for all of the employees in. It's a very complicated computer formula that they use, but we are very far in compliance. The statistical analysis test that you see there, the underpayment ratio, has to be over 80, and we're at 165. So, this measures the women's and the men's salaries to make sure that they're even when they have the same amount of points for their position. So it just needed to come to you for you to see, make a motion to accept it, and then I need the mayor to sign it.
Anybody got any questions? If not, I would take a motion to approve.
Make the motion to approve the management and budget compliance report.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sheldon. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Next, administrators report.
Okay, just a couple of things to highlight tonight. Obviously, the fire truck, we talked about that a little bit. Talked about some of the 26 projects, which you're all aware of. I just kind of ran through those a little bit. One thing we are looking at is potentially applying for a brownfields redevelopment grant. There are some infill properties in Casson that could certainly utilize that. And obviously, that's something that's not funded through anything locally, so we'd be looking at the state of Minnesota for that funding. League of Minnesota Cities has got the legislative policy priorities. You can see what's laid out there for them. Obviously, things are scrambled a little bit with Governor Walz's decision not to run for re-election. So, seeing what happens to the legislature, my forecast right now would be not much. I would suspect most of them will be running for re-election, so hopefully that's a good thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. There is that LMC Next Level Leaders training that's February 6th through the 7th. So if anyone's interested in that, I know last year we had good participation. If you're interested, certainly, it's something we budget for, is for some trainings for council. So if you're interested in that, go ahead. The other thing would be the Veterans Memorial. We had talked a little bit about this, so I'm looking for guidance from you, not tonight, but as we go throughout the year. I have a meeting set up with their committee to talk to Ben and some of the folks from that group that were here. They asked us for some funding for that project, and we had council had directed them to begin moving that, the volleyball courts to the far east part of Veterans Park, so it would make space for that this year, so I think that's their first step. But anyway, let's see, what else? Data centers, so I attended the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation's, data center training this afternoon. It was interesting. It was about 100 people there from all different cities and communities throughout southeastern Minnesota, and it was very interesting to see the presentation had like 6 or 7 presenters, and they all had different things to say, and some were more positive than others, obviously, but the EDA is doing some work on the site selection, so if someone were to come to us, that we would maybe have an idea of where that would go, and I think planning and zoning will also be taking a look at that for the zoning code right now. That I think the guidance has been that it's something that maybe should be set aside in terms of the zoning codes, but as a special designation, as opposed to just being lumped into large industrial, something like that, because of it's a little different utilization. I think the EDA did feel like it might be something that would be a positive for the community, because it doesn't require a lot of workforce issues. For example, if it has 10 or 12 employees, that's something that Casson could support, whereas a larger employer that had 500 employees would maybe not be sustainable in the community. So they see that as a potential benefit. One of the biggest things that came out of the training today is that the vast majority, close to 90% of all the new data centers, do not actually use a lot of water. What they do is they do a closed-loop system for cooling, where they fill it once, and then it doesn't have to get used often. So that's something that I think, because that's always my first concern, is making sure that the water infrastructure here in Casson is good for our residents. But if business could to utilize that closed-loop circuit, I think that there is some benefit to it. So the EDA and the Planning and Zoning boards will take more information and be looking at that more. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I know when Ian's back from his trip, I'll be pressing him good to make sure he gets going on the zoning code. So anyway, just interesting information. Like I said, things I didn't know about it, and the changes, the market there, and the business model for all those places is changing quickly. As the one lady said she's been doing data centers for 20 years, and they've been growing in size, but also the way they've been cooled is the biggest change, where it went from a water cooling to a evaporative cooling, now to, some are air cooled, and just the way it works, it's changed a lot. So I have the information if you are interested. I did forward it out to the EDA members already, but I can certainly forward it out to the council as well. And I think that's all I have tonight.
Couple questions for you, Tim. Planning session, we looking at moving that?
Sure. I think we're looking at moving the planning session this year a little bit later in the year, just because I will be out of the office. I don't know for folks who are aware or not aware, my wife's expecting, we are expecting. So, I will be gone for a little while, and so I want to make sure that, we also don't have a lot of big projects pending right now. We have stuff that we're going to be finishing up this year, water tower, Southwest Reconstruct, things like that. So I think what we're looking at doing is possibly doing a 1-hour work session before the June council meeting, and then we would have Mr. Rubani come in July to do his financial presentation, and then in August, we would do our regular budget meeting. So instead of doing it in February or March, we would do it a little bit later in the year. That's kind of what Dan had talked with me about, so I don't know if there's any feedback on that.
Seems fine.
I just wanted to make sure that we talked about it, so everybody had aware, so we weren't looking for a 4-hour meeting, and
I mean, you can let Brandon run it for 4 hours. He'd be great.
Brandon would love it, but
he'll find, pavement depth and sidewalk widths and all kinds of good stuff. But that's the plan anyways right now, I think, so.
And then one other item I just had too was the EDA, if there was anybody on council
Right.
that was interested of being on the EDA board. If not, at the current time, then I would open it to the public, so I'm just...
What day and time do they meet?
That's a noon meeting, and it's on the first Tuesday of every month. So, and that is, I know, it's a difficulty.
Yeah, it's
If it was after school, I would, but
I know.
I was told I have to take personal time for any during school meetings, so.
And that's why, it's a harder spot to fill, and that's why I'm just asking. And
Otherwise
so,
I would.
but if nobody has got the interest or the time, everybody's got the interest, but if they don't have the time, then I would like to open it to the public. So,
That's what we'll do.
we'll open it, okay. I just wanted to make sure. You had it in there, that's why I didn't have it on my report.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, thank you, Tim. Engineers report.
Yeah, nothing formal, Mayor and Council, but MnDOT did release the applications for the funding mechanism that we have for Trail under Highway 14. There was 2.5 times, the applicant requested of funds and it's available, so maybe a tough road to hoe here moving forward, but, that's typical. I mean, previously, we've gotten funding for our project in something similar, but, you never know when there's that much requested, so, they're moving in the selection, process now, so we'll know in a month or two, so.
Is that a board you can get on, Ian, to do, or,
Yeah.
to do the review there? Is that-
We work some other channels, so, but there's 2 city engineers in District 6, which is southeast Minnesota, 2 county engineers and 2 MnDOT employees that review it, so, we will not be on the board because we have an application in, so.
Oh.
Just wanna give you a quick update, so we'll see, I'll let you know when I know. That's
Right.
about it. Other than that, we're busy in design and hammering stuff out, so.
Perfect, thank you. One other item we took off, consent agenda was in newspaper. Were we
Well,
gonna-
that's true, that's a good point, and I was gonna bring that up. So,
Sorry.
you know, we designated our bank depository and all those annual designations. And, you know, we did have, the folks from the Messenger reach out to us, and they dropped off copies of their newspaper. I know that Dodge County has gone to using them. It sounds like, a number of the other communities in the area are gonna be utilizing them as the legal newspaper. You know, I guess I'd have to ask the city attorney to review that and see if she feels it would meet the requirements. So, I mean, we don't need a decision tonight or anything like that, but, did wanna share with you, we're gonna hold off on doing a designation until we have more information. If, they are, the quarterly prices they have are lower than the DCI, which is nice, but we just wanna make sure that all the designations that we need to meet legally have been met, whether we would change or not, so. And some of those, I think Linda had some questions about it, and so we were going back and forth with the publisher a little bit too, so.
Say if they have so many published it.
So many, you know, subscribers and all that sort of thing, that's right.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
You bet.
Up next, personnel. Police Officer Ian Gall resignation.
So including your packet, you have the resignation letter from Officer Gall. And coincidentally, I think he's going to Dodge County, and, I don't know if you have anything you want to stress with him, otherwise I know we're hiring, and I talked to the police chief. He's got some good quality candidates that he's hoping to get on board this year. Obviously, we you know, we want to try and find folks who'll be with the city for long term, so, I don't know, other than that, I don't have anything else for it. Josh? Nope.
I know one thing they had mentioned earlier this year was their staffing concerns. I had read that in some of the county reports. Maybe adding more staff will allow them to support us more during the big events in the area, like Big Iron Classic. They told us this past year they couldn't support our local police department in that area, so maybe as they continue to grow, they can look at supporting us a little more during those events.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would take a motion to accept the resignation.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll just pop ahead. There's correspondence. If there's anything anybody wants to discuss there before we go.
The only thing, just wanted to highlight number 6 there, that housing needs analysis is included in your packet, so you can review that. If you have any questions, let me or Ian know. Sorry, somebody else said something.
I did, well, I might, Ryan too, but the fire hall community room rental, can we look at that on the next meeting?
Sure.
Because there was a few times, like, it listed like 3 times where all the equipment was moved out, which I understand the fire department all volunteers their time to do it, but I'm just looking at, to make sure we cover our cost for starting all the vehicles and opening the building up, make sure that we're not missing any utility or wear and tear, you know. I don't wanna overcharge, but I don't wanna undercharge. I wanna make sure that it's,
Sure, I think we can bring that back as an old business item at the next council meeting.
you know, just, and maybe it's perfectly fine the way it is. At least I'd like to look at it.
Sure.
Make sure.
Sounds good.
And then I'd appreciate that being in there, seeing how much that building did rent.
Nice to see how busy it was this year.
I see we had 4 businesses fail, ID checks.
Yes,
Is that done monthly?
annually.
Just once a year? Okay, 'cause, yeah, I looked at this one and I saw 4 of them on there. I was a little surprised. Is that unusual?
Yes.
Okay.
Last time all the alcohol businesses passed, we had 2 liquors fail. This time it was 4 of the liquor establishments.
All right, I assume there's some sort of procedure that they're gonna have to go through in order to, like, remediate that failure, or?
The first time we just give them a warning, so then the second time,
We would,
Okay, so sometime now in '26, you're gonna have somebody surprise them again, and hopefully they pass?
yes,
Okay.
we prefer that they pass.
Yes, everybody prefers it pass, yes.
That's a good point.
Okay.
I was just gonna make a quick comment. I know it's not Casson related, but Manorville lost one of their council members, Lyle Hoagland, this past, I think it was a week or two ago, but yeah, just wanted to pass our condolences on to their council and their city.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, with that, we will have closed session, so for that, if you would like to stay, that we have a room available, otherwise, thank you for coming tonight, appreciate it. We'll have two closed sessions, let me be exact. First one will be closed session for city administrator evaluation, and the second closed session will be to discuss new Nori litigation pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D. Thank you, everybody.
Are we, is the video?
One later on the recording anyway, so.
Yep.
How do I get on the agenda for next meeting? I just had more